Chapter 11 of the Complete Works of Artemus Ward, Part II, War, by Charles Farrar Browne. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 11. The Noble Redman.
The Redman of the forest was formerly a very respectful person. Justice to the noble aborigine warrants me in saying that originally he was a majestic cuss. At the time Chris arove on these shores, I allude to Chris Columbus, the savages was virtuous and happy. They were innocent of secession, rum, draw poker, and sinfulness generally. They didn't discuss the slavery question as a custom. They had no Congress, faro banks, delirium tremens, or associated press. Their habits was consistently good. Late suppers, dyspepsy, gas companies, thieves, ward politicians, pretty waiter girls, and other metropolitan refinements were unknown among them. No savage in good standin' would take postage stamps. You couldn't have bought a coonskin with a barrel of 'em. The female aborigine never died of consumption, because she didn't tie her waist up in whalebone things, but in loose and flowin' garments she bounded with naked feet over hills and plains like the wild and frisky antelope. It was an unlucky moment for us when Chris sot his foot onto these 'ere shores. It would have been better for us of the present day if the Injuns had given him a warm meal and sent him home o'er the ragin' billers. For the savages owned the country and Columbus was a filibuster. Cortez, Pizarro, and Walker were one horse filibusters. Columbus was a 4-horse team filibuster, and a large yaller dog under the wagon. I say, in view of the mess we are makin' of things, it would have been better for us if Columbus had stayed to home. It would have been better for the show business. The circulation of Vanity Fair would be larger, and the proprietors would all have boozum pins. Yes, sir, and perhaps a 10-pin alley. By which I don't wish to be understood as intimatin' that the scalpin' wretches who are in the Injun business at the present day are of any account, or calculated to make home happy, specially the Sioxes of Minnesoty, who deserve to be murdered in the first degree, and if Pope will only stay in St. Paul and not go near 'em himself, I reckon they will be.
End of chapter 11. Chapter 12 of the Complete Works of Artemus Ward, Part II, War, by Charles Farrar Browne. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 12. Artemus Ward in Richmond.
Richmond, Virginia, May 1865. Olonzo Ward. Afore I commence this letter from the late rebel capital, I desire to simply say that I have seen a low and scurrilous note in the paper from a certain person who signs himself Olonzo Ward, and says he is my brother. I did once have a brother of that name, but I do not recognize him now. To me he is wuss than dead. I took him from college some 16 years ago, and gave him a good situation as the bearded woman in my show. How did he repay me for this kindness? He basely undertook, one day while in a bacchanalian mood on rum, and right in sight of the audience in the tent, to stand upon his head, whereby he betrayed his sex on account of his boots and his beard falling off his face, thus ruinin' my prospects in that town, and likewise incurrin' the serious displeasure of the press, which said boldly I was triflin' with the feelin's of an intelligent public. I know no such man as Olonzo Ward. I do not even wish his name breathed in my presence. I do not recognize him. I perfectly disgust him. Richmond. The old man finds hisself once more in a sunny clime. I come here a few days after the city caterpillar chillated. My neighbors seem surprised and astonished at this darin' bravery unto the part of a man at my time of life, but our family was never knowed to quail in danger's stormy hour. My father was a sutler in the Revolution War, My father once had an intervoo with Gin'ral Lafayette. He asked Lafayette to lend him $5, promisin' to pay him in the fall, but Laffy said he couldn't see it in those lamps. Laffy was French, and his knowledge of our language was a little shaky. Immediately on my arrival here I proceeded to the Spotswood House, and callin' to my assistance a young man from our town who writes a good runnin' hand, I put my ortograph on the register, and handin' my umbrella to a bald headed man behind the counter, who I s'posed was Mr. Spotswood, I said, "Spotsy, how does she run?" He called a colored person and said, "Show the gen'man to the cow yard and give him cart No. 1." "Isn't Grant here?" I said. "P'raps Ulysses wouldn't mind my turnin' in with him." "Do you know the Gineral?" inquired Mr. Spotswood. "Well, no, not exactly, but he'll remember me. His brother-in-law's aunt bought her rye meal of my Uncle Levi all one winter. My Uncle Levi's rye meal was—" "Pooh, pooh," said Spotsy, "don't bother me," and he shoved my umbrella onto the floor. Obsarvin' to him not to be so keerless with that weapon, I accompanied the African to my lodgins. "My brother," I said, "air you aware that you've been mancipated? Do you realize how glorious it is to be free? Tell me, my dear brother, does it not seem like some dreams, or do you realize the great fact in all its livin' and holy magnitude?" He said he would take some gin. I was showed to the cow yard and laid down under a one mule cart. The hotel was orful crowded, and I was sorry I hadn't gone to the Libby prison, though I should have slept comfortable enough if the bedclothes hadn't been pulled off me durin' the night by a scoundrel who come and hitched a mule to the cart and druv it off. I thus lost my coverin', and my throat feels a little husky this mornin'. General Halleck offers me the hospitality of the city, givin' me my choice of hospitals. He has also very kindly placed at my disposal a smallpox ambulance. Union sentiment. There is raly a good deal of Union sentiment in this city. I see it on every hand. I met a man to day, I am not at liberty to tell his name, but he is an old and influentual citizen of Richmond, and says he, "Why, we've been fightin' agin the old flag, Lor bless me, how singular." He then borrowed $5 of me and bust into a flood of tears. Said another, a man of standin' and formerly a bitter rebel, "Let us at once stop this effusion of blood. The old flag is good enough for me, sir." He added, "You air from the North. Have you a doughnut or a piece of custard pie about you?" I told him no, but I knew a man from Vermont who had just organized a sort of restaurant where he could go and make a very comfortable breakfast on New England rum and cheese. He borrowed 50 cents of me, and askin' me to send him William Lloyd Garrison's ambrotype as soon as I got home, he walked off. Said another, "There's been a tremenjus Union feelin' here from the first, but we was kept down by a reign of terror. Have you a daguerreotype of Wendell Phillips about your person? And will you lend me $4 for a few days till we air once more a happy and united people?" Jeff Davis. Jeff Davis is not pop'lar here. She is regarded as a Southern sympathizer, and yet I'm told he was kind to his parents. She ran away from him many years ago, and has never been back. This was showing him a good deal of consideration when we reflect what his conduct had been. Her captor in female apparel confuses me in regard to his sex, and you see I speak of him as a her as frequent as otherwise, and I guess he feels so hisself. R. Lee. Robert Lee is regarded as a noble feller. He was opposed to the war at the first and drawed his sword very reluctant. In fact, he wouldn't have drawed his sword at all, only he had a large stock of military clothes on hand which he didn't want to waste. He says the colored man is right, and he will at once go to New York and open a Sabbath school for negro minstrels. The Confederate Army. The surrender of R. Lee, J. Johnson, and other leaves the Confederate Army in a rather shattered state. That army now consists of Kirby Smith, 4 mules, and a bass drum, and is moving rapidly towards Texas. A proud and haughty Southerner. Feeling a little peckish, I went into a eatin' house to day and encountered a young man with long black hair and slender frame. He didn't wear much clothes, and them as he did wear looked unhealthy. He frowned on me and said, kinder scornful, "So, sir, you come here to taunt us in our hour of trouble, do you?" "No," said I come here for hash." "Pshaw!" he said sneeringly, "I mean you air in this city for the purposes of gloatin' over a fallen people. Others may basely succumb, but as for me, I will never yield. Never, never." "Have something to eat," I pleasantly suggested. "Tripe and onions," he said firstly. Then he added, "I eat with you, but I hate you. You're a low-lived Yankee." To which I pleasantly replied, "How'll you have your tripe?" "Fried, mudsill, with plenty of ham fat." He et very ravenous. Poor feller, he had lived on odds and ends for several days, eatin' crackers that had been turned over by revelers in the bread tray at the bar. He got full at last, and his heart softened a little towards me. "After all," he said, "you have some people at the North who air not wholly loathsome beasts." "Well, yes," I said, "we have now and then a man among us who isn't a cold-blooded scoundrel." "Young man," I mildly but gravely said, "this cruel war is over, and you're licked. It's rather necessary for somebody to lick in a good square, lively fight, and in this here case it happens to be the United States of America. You fit splendid, but we was too many for you. Then make the best of it, and let us all give in and put the Republic on a firmer basis nor ever." I don't gloat over your misfortunes, my young friend. Far from it. I'm a old man now, and my heart is softer nor it once was. You see, my spectacles is mistened with suthin very like tears. I'm thinkin' of the sea of good rich blood that has been spilt on both sides in this dreadful war. I'm thinkin' of our widders and orphans, North and of yourn in the South. I can cry for both. Believe me, my young friend, I can place my old hands tenderly on the fair young head of the Virginny maid whose lover was laid low in the battle dust by a Federal bullet, and say as fervently and piously as a venerable sinner like me can say anything, God be good to you, my poor dear, my poor dear. I riz up to go, and takin' my young Southern friend kindly by the hand, I said, "Young man, adoo. You Southern fellers is prob'ly my brothers, though you've occasionally had a cussed queer way of showin' it. It's over now. Let us all line in and make a country on this continent that shall give all Europe the cramp in the stomach every time they look at us. Adoo, adoo." And as I am through, I likewise say adoo to you, gentle reader, merely remarkin' that the Star Spangled Banner is wavin' round loose agin, and that there don't seem to be anything the matter with the Goddess of Liberty beyond a slight cold. Artemus Ward.
End of chapter 12.